Yep, that's me, a chubby little baby born on a cold, snowy February morning on Long Island, New York. Well, that was me. And look at me now. How did this happen? I got old. My mother said when I was that young that my eyes scared her. She said they seemed to look right through her. I hope I'm not looking through you guys right now. I didn't intend to do any of that. But anyway, look at this. How did this happen? I know I'm old, but up here, I still feel young. And I bet there's a whole bunch of other baby boomers, and that's what I am. I don't know about being a baby anymore, but I'm certainly a boomer, that feel the same way. We've aged, but in our minds, we still think, wow, I think I'm 20 years old. I think I'm 25. But the age happens. Yes, I'm a boomer. And the group that came after me was a Generation Xer. And after them was the Millennials. And after them was the Zs. Whole lot of generations happening. So again, I ask, how did this happen? How did I turn 74? Well, I got a pretty good idea. Since I've been on the Earth rotated around the sun 74 times, and there you have it. I'm 74 years old. So Karen and I were reminiscing about all the different things that we've experienced in our lifetime. Now,
not all of them.
Karen, I guess many could say that I rocked the cradle with Karen.
Oh, yeah.
She's a whole lot younger than me.
Yeah, 1 year.
That's a whole lot.
Oh, yeah.
So we're thinking back, we seen the first color TVs. How about that?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it was like, wow.
And then the first remote control. It came out like in 1954.
Yeah, I don't remember. I remember seeing a remote control for the first time, but not the first one.
Yeah, I didn't see the first one. But those remote controls were nothing like what we've got now. Nothing like it. And TV was nothing like what you've got now. We didn't have cable TV. What did we have?
We had 3 channels. 4 if you were real lucky. But then you had to get up from your couch or whatever and walk up and change the channel and then walk back. Ooh, that was so hard.
But then remote controls came out, so you could go through your 3 channels and turn up and down the volume.
Yes, that was good too.
Really cool.
They didn't have the commercials louder back then either.
What else do you think about as far as your experience growing up?
I do remember I was must have been 1969 in high school. That was the first year that girls were allowed to wear pants to school. We always had to wear dresses or skirts before that. I was going, yay, finally, and now I'm almost out of school.
Sputnik went up for the first time, first thing in this outer space, 1957. Saw that, and we saw so much more. So I was thinking about all the different things that we've gone through, or that I've gone through, Karen's gone through, since we've reached this lovely age. I had to write some of them down. We talked about Sputnik going out into the satellite and doing its orbit. Here's Willow. And in '69, Neil Armstrong landed on the moon. I remember that because me and my buddies went to, at that time it was called Idlewild Airport. It's now called Kennedy. And they had big screen TVs. So we actually watched him walk down the ladder and onto the moon at Idlewild Airport, 1969. How about that? In '63, I was 12 years old when Kennedy got assassinated. And that sticks in your brain. That's one of those things that, well, it's ever implanted. You can recall the very day. You can recall what you were doing. And later on, as we were watching TV, because everybody was following the Kennedy assassination, Oswald was being taken out of the police department, and Jack Ruby showed up and shot him right there on TV. It's the first time we ever saw anything like that. That's interesting. And then in 68, Martin Luther King was assassinated. We had a whole bunch of assassinations going on. 63, like I said, Kennedy. 68, Martin Luther King. 68, later on in the year, Robert Kennedy assassinated. In 64 was the New York World's Fair. And I remember so well, my dad took me there, and we went to the African exhibit, and there were elephants there. And these two elephants were mating. And my dad says, take a good look at that, because you're not going to see that very often. I remember that quite well. Also at the World's Fair, they had these telephone booths where you could get in, and they had video screens, and you could talk to someone who's on another line somewhere in the fair, and you could see them. Wow, never seen anything like that. I guess we see a lot of that today. And we don't have to be in a big telephone booth. It's in your pocket. Oh, and in 69, I went to the famous Woodstock. Yep, I was 18 years old, went with about 3 of my buddies. We got a bus ride to Woodstock, hopped out, and had no idea what we were going to be in for the next 3 days. And it was wild, but I was there. Probably some people don't even know what Woodstock was. I would imagine the Gen X's do. Millennials, maybe. Gen Z's, probably not. But that was a wild time, 1969. Also went through a whole lot of wars, but I think every generation has gone through wars. The big one for us was, of course, the Vietnam War. We had the draft at that time, and they would do the lottery by your birthday. And lucky for me, I came up like number 4 in the lottery. So in other words, I was going. But I had already signed up and was going to college, and they had college deferments at that time. So I didn't end up going to the war, I ended up going to college. It was good. That's just a few things. All of that stuff happening to us, and so much more. Well, my dad died when I was 15 years old, and that would change my life every which way, inside and out. But I got through it. A lot of people thought, well, here's a kid being raised without a dad. He'll certainly go the wrong way. He'll end up going the bad way. He'll end up in jail at some time. Well, totally opposite of what happened. I ended up going into law enforcement. I put people in jail. How about that? That was different. And that was a long career. And in that career, I saw things, well, let's just say most people shouldn't have to ever see in their lives. But I seen it. And it was quite a career. Karen stuck with me throughout that career, and sometimes it was really difficult. As a cop, I'd go out the door and see you when I see you, but you never know if you are going to see me. And there were a few times when it got close, and she found out on the news about shootings and hoped that I wasn't one of the people that got shot. So it was quite a career. I spent 30 years in law enforcement. I ended the last 8 years as a sheriff, which was really challenging. But it was good. It was really good because there were things I could improve, and I had so many wonderful people working for me that had great ideas, and they put these ideas together, and I backed them 100%, and we did great things for not only the jail. I had to run a jail, and we brought in a library, and we brought in programs, even meditation. We brought in programs on how to control your anger. They needed that. A lot of them needed that. In fact, one of the best ones we had was we brought in education, and some of these guys couldn't read, so they were taught to read. And they would start with beginner books, and they would record them reading the beginner books. And those recordings then could be sent to their children, who would see their dad reading a book to them. It was on video, but it was better than nothing. So those were good times, actually good times that we did. So I've had a lot of experiences in my life, in my 74 years on this planet, a whole lot. And each generation will also have experiences of their own. Each generation, doesn't matter if you're Gen X, Millennial, Gen Z, you're all going to grow in experiences. And there's something that we all share. There's a commonality that we all share, no matter what the generation. We will all experience births. We will all experience deaths, deaths of loved ones, of friends, of pets. In fact, just a couple days ago, I had to put our little miniature long-haired dachshund to sleep. She was nearly 17 years old, and that's tough. Even at the age of 74, it was hard to put them down. And you just don't take them in and leave them and go out. You got to stay with them. And those are difficult experiences. That's not the only one that's gone through. I've done a number of them because, unfortunately, dogs just don't live long enough. Cats don't live long enough. Wouldn't it be nice if they just lived as long as you? Well, it's not like that. But anyway, we will all have those experiences, and we all will share in those same experiences. We all share in hurts. We all share in joy. No sense in blaming one or blaming the other because of the situation you may be in. If you're in a situation, it's up to you to work your way out of it. And to end this, I didn't say a whole lot of what I really wanted to say because I thought about that, and well, what does it matter with what I want to say? Just some experiences I've had. But this reminds me of, and probably a good way to end this, of a song by Bob Dylan. And let me grab it here, it's on my phone. It's "The times are changing," what he says here. "The line is drawn, the curse is cast. The slow one now will later be last, and as the present now will later be past, and the order is rapidly fading. And the first one now will later be last, for the times, they are a-changing." The times are a-changing, and we either change with them or we don't. That's up to each one of us. How are we going to walk our way through what's coming? Millennials had all the technology right there for them when they came up. The boomers, they didn't have any of that. Well, we got a color TV and we got this remote control that could change 3 channels, turn the volume up and down. Generation X, they got a little bit of the technology. But again, everyone will experience things, and we will all have things in common. So instead of putting each other down, let's rise each other up. Wouldn't that be great? Until we see again next week, embrace your journey. We certainly embrace ours. Goodbye.